Most teachers are familiar with the collaborative learning strategy called Jigsaw, but not necessarily with the history behind it. As explained by its creator, the social psychologist Elliot Aronson, the Jigsaw classroom was first used in 1971 in Austin, Texas. My graduate students and I had invented the Jigsaw strategy that year, as a matter of absolute necessity to help defuse an explosive situation. The city's schools had recently been desegregated, and because Austin had always been racially segregated, white youngsters, African American youngsters, and Hispanic youngsters found themselves in the same classrooms for the first time. Within a few weeks, long-standing suspicion, fear, and distrust between groups produced an atmosphere of turmoil and hostility. Fistfights erupted in corridors and schoolyards across the city. The school superintendent called me in to see if we could do anything to help students get along with one another. After observing what was going on in classrooms for a few days, my students and I concluded that intergroup hostility was being fueled by the competitive environment of the classroom. Aronson realized the need to reframe learning from a competition to a collaboration between students. And it is in this context that the Jigsaw strategy was born. Its success was unquestionable. Not only did it boost academic achievement, especially for weaker students, but it also helped decrease prejudice, increase trust and confidence, and improve attitudes towards school, attendance, and motivation. Given these benefits, it is no wonder that Jigsaw also became a massive hit with educators. However, as Edward Herdel explained, good educational practices can become so popular as to develop lethal mutations. Ignoring the history or the science behind it, people can unknowingly introduce modifications, oftentimes simplifications, making the original practice ineffective or even counterproductive. So, here is how to stay true to the history and science behind the Jigsaw strategy and reap all of its benefits. Step 1 is familiar: divide the intended learning of the day into different sections. Step 2. Assign these sections to different groups of students, known as expert groups. Here, common lethal mutations should be avoided. First, students should learn about their section as a group. Practically speaking, this means that, while they might start by reading materials or conducting research independently, they should discuss as a group to clarify their understanding. And they should also work together on a common product that will be shared with the rest of the class, be it a script, slides, etc. To make sure this happens, you should not only provide clear instructions, but also blueprints for both the discussion and the public product. This can include a bank of questions they can use to structure their discussion, or a checklist of objectives for their public products. Before moving on to the next step, it is crucial that you ensure that these are ready to share. Quality control avoids students spreading misconceptions or subpar materials. Speaking of this final product, it should ideally be an authentic teaching material. It should be designed to foster understanding, and maybe come with a learning activity. This ensures that Jigsaw remains a collaborative learning strategy. Students do more than learning independently in their expert groups, and expert groups do not simply exchange their products and copy them. Step 3, during which students from different expert groups form a new Jigsaw group, is thus just as cooperative. For students to learn from each other, and as they teach each other, they should be encouraged to ask relevant questions, and check their peers' understanding. Here again, scaffolds can help. And they are particularly needed, because, contrary to expert groups, sharing groups should not be based on choice or ability, but diverse by design. Collaborative learning is more than putting students in groups to learn. We cannot assume that, simply because they are in a group, they will be able to collaborate. Indeed, it is safer to assume that such will not be the case, unless we are intentional in helping them develop collaborative skills. Just like any other, these skills have to be taught. We need to help students understand their relevance, demonstrate them, and guide their practice with gradual release. Effective teams have predictable characteristics. They pursue challenging objectives that give them direction and keep them motivated. They are efficiently structured and give their members specific responsibilities to keep them accountable. Finally, they enjoy positive climates and supportive cultures. Jigsaw gives every student a specific responsibility, but this might not be enough for collaborative learning without the other ingredients. To make sure they are not missing, you can task group leaders with specific instructions. Ensuring that norms are followed, such as being engaged and supportive. Keeping time, so that all get equal opportunities to participate. Aligning efforts towards the group's objective. Indeed, an important element of the original Jigsaw strategy was that it should end with some form of assessment. This does not only help you collect data to ensure learning happened, but it also ensures collaboration happens, as students are working together towards a visible shared goal. Several of these ideas can be found on the website jigsaw.org. As they disappear from the practice of jigsaw, lethal mutations turn this powerful strategy into a shell of itself. Far from combining rigor and engagement, jigsaw activities can then turn into rather boring sessions where students teach and learn as they would in very traditional classrooms, but without the skills or knowledge of a teacher. Or, to the contrary, they can make for unfocused and ineffective class time. By staying true to the origins and the psychological principles behind the practice, we can avoid these pitfalls, including setting up weaker students for failure, limiting high-achieving students, disseminating subpar materials, worsening class climate and culture. As a matter of fact, we can literally change lives, as reported Carlos, one of the students from the grade 5 class where Aronson introduced Jigsaw for the first time. After reading his book on this Jigsaw experiment where he recognized himself, Carlos wrote to the psychologist. When we started to do work in Jigsaw groups, I began to realize that I wasn't really that stupid. And the kids I thought were cruel and hostile became my friends, and the teacher acted friendly and nice to me, and I actually began to love school, and I began to love to learn things, and now I'm about to go to Harvard Law School. You must get a lot of letters like this, but I decided to write anyway because let me tell you something. My mother tells me that when I was born I almost died. I was born at home and the cord was wrapped around my neck and the midwife gave me mouth to mouth and saved my life. If she was still alive, I would write to her too, to tell her that I grew up smart and good and I'm going to law school. But she died a few years ago. I'm writing to you because, no less than her, you saved my life too.